First contact and betrayal. The starship Horizon cut through the inky blackness of space, its sleek hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen as it displayed the vast emptiness before them. The ship had been exploring the outer reaches of known space for months, seeking signs of intelligent life. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Rodriguez from his station, "I'm picking up an anomalous signal. It doesn't match any known patterns in our database." Sarah's heart raced. Could this be it? The moment humanity had been waiting for. "Put it through, Lieutenant. Let's hear what we've got." A series of rhythmic pulses filled the bridge, alternating in pitch and duration. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered before. "It's definitely artificial," commented Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's stenolinguist. Her fingers danced across her console as she analyzed the signal. The complexity suggests a highly advanced civilization. "Can you pinpoint the source?" Sarah asked, trying to keep the excitement from her voice. Rodriguez nodded. "Yes, Captain. It's coming from a star system about 2 light-years from our current position." Sarah didn't hesitate. "Helm, set a course. Let's go make history." As the Horizon approached the source of the signal, the crew's anticipation grew. They entered a solar system with twin suns, their golden light bathing the ship as it passed a series of gas giants. It was the 4th planet that caught their attention, a world of swirling purples and blues, with land masses that seemed to shimmer and shift. "Life signs?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Confirmed," replied Science Officer Dr. Emeka Okafor. "And not just microbial. We're detecting evidence of a technologically advanced civilization." Sarah took a deep breath. "Open a channel. Let's say hello." For several tense minutes, they broadcast a carefully crafted message of peace and friendship, developed by Earth's finest linguists and diplomats. Then they waited. The response, when it came, was unlike anything they had expected. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a being that defied easy description. It had a vaguely humanoid shape, but its skin seemed to ripple with bioluminescent patterns. Multiple eyes blinked in an unsettling rhythm, and when it spoke, its voice resonated from several parts of its body simultaneously. "Greetings, travelers," the alien said, the ship's universal translator struggling to keep up. "We are the Zarkali. We welcome you to our world, Zarkal Prime." Over the next few days, the crew of the Horizon engaged in a whirlwind of diplomatic exchanges and cultural sharing. The Zarkali seemed eager to learn about humanity, asking countless questions about Earth and its history. In return, they shared glimpses of their own society, a civilization thousands of years more advanced than humanity's, with technology that bordered on the miraculous. Sarah couldn't shake a sense of unease, despite the apparent friendliness of their hosts. Something about the Zarkali's intense curiosity felt off. She confided her concerns to her first officer, Commander John Becky. "I know what you mean," John said, his brow furrowed. "They're almost too interested in us, like they're cataloging everything we say and do." Sarah nodded. "Keep the crew on alert, but discreetly. I don't want to offend our hosts if we're just being paranoid." On the 5th day of their visit, the Zarkali invited the senior staff of the Horizon to a grand feast in their capital city. The alien metropolis was a marvel of organic architecture, with buildings that seemed to grow from the very ground and change shape at will. As they sat down to the lavish meal, surrounded by Zarkali dignitaries, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization, and it had gone better than anyone could have hoped. That's when everything went to hell. The first indication that something was wrong was a high-pitched whine that filled the air. Sarah saw her crew members clutch their heads in pain, and she felt a wave of dizziness wash over her. Through blurred vision, she saw the Zarkali rising from their seats, their bodies shifting and changing into something far more menacing. "It's a trap," Sarah managed to shout before collapsing to the ground. When she regained consciousness, Sarah found herself in a cold, dark cell. The rest of her senior staff were there too, all of them groggy and disoriented. "What happened?" Dr. Tanaka groaned, holding her head. "We've been played," Sarah said grimly. "The Zarkali, this whole thing was a setup from the beginning." Over the next few hours, they pieced together what had happened. The Zarkali were not the benevolent species they had pretended to be. They were conquerors, using their advanced technology and shape-shifting abilities to lure unsuspecting civilizations into a false sense of security before striking. "But why?" Lieutenant Rodriguez asked. "Why go through all this deception?" "Information," Commander Mbeki replied. "They got us to willingly give up everything about our civilization, our weaknesses, our strengths. We handed them the blueprint for conquering Earth on a silver platter." The realization hit them all like a physical blow. They had unknowingly betrayed their entire species. As the days stretched into weeks, the crew of the Horizon faced brutal interrogations and cruel experiments. The Zarkali seemed particularly interested in human biology and psychology, subjecting them to tests that pushed them to their physical and mental limits. But even in the face of this adversity, the human spirit refused to be broken. Sarah and her crew began to plan, watching for patterns in their captors' behavior, looking for any weakness they could exploit. "We have to get out of here," Sarah told her people during one of the rare moments they were left alone. "Not just for ourselves, but for Earth. We have to warn them about the Zarkali." It was Dr. Okafor who provided their first glimmer of hope. "I've been studying the cell's energy field," he whispered. "There's a fluctuation every 37 minutes. It's brief, but if we time it right." Sarah nodded, a fierce determination in her eyes. "That's our window. We'll only get one shot at this, so we need to make it count." As they huddled together, planning their daring escape, Sarah felt a surge of pride in her crew. Despite everything they'd been through, they hadn't given up. They were still fighting, still thinking, still looking for solutions. That, she realized, was the true strength of humanity. Not our technology or our weapons, but our resilience, our adaptability, our unwillingness to accept defeat. "All right, people," she said, her voice low but filled with conviction. "Let's show these Zarkali what humans are really made of." As they prepared for their desperate bid for freedom, none of them could have imagined the galaxy-spanning conflict that actions would soon ignite, or the pivotal role they would play in shaping the future of not just humanity, but countless alien civilizations across the stars. The first part of their journey was over, but the true test of human ingenuity and determination was just beginning. The resistance rises. The news of the Horizon's fate hit Earth like a supernova. What should have been humanity's triumphant entry onto the galactic stage had instead become a nightmare. As reports of the Zarkali's true nature and their impending invasion spread, panic gripped the planet. In the chaos, a coalition of nations came together, setting aside old rivalries in the face of this existential threat. The Terran Defense Coalition, TDC, was born, a last-ditch effort to prepare humanity for the coming storm. At the heart of this frantic preparation was Dr. Elara Chen, a brilliant physicist whose work in quantum mechanics and exotic matter had always been considered too theoretical, too far-fetched for practical application. Now, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, her ideas didn't seem so outlandish anymore. "We can't match the Zarkali's technology," Elara explained to a room full of military brass and world leaders. Her holographic display showed complex equations and diagrams. "But we can change the rules of the game." General Marcus Talon, the grizzled veteran in charge of the TTC's military arm, leaned forward. "What exactly are you proposing, Doctor?" Elara's eyes gleamed with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "A quantum field disruptor. It's a device that can create localized pockets of altered physical laws. Within these fields, we can neutralize the Zarkali's technological advantage." The room erupted in a mixture of skepticism and hope. It sounded like science fiction, but then again, so had the idea of shape-shifting alien invaders just a few months ago. "How long?" General Talon asked. Ilara took a deep breath. With unlimited resources and round-the-clock work, 6 months, maybe. The general's face hardened. You have 3. Make it happen, Doctor. As Ilara and her team worked tirelessly to bring the quantum field disruptor to life, the TDC launched a bold, desperate plan. A small team of elite operatives would be sent into Zarkali space on a stealth ship. Their mission: to gather intelligence, search for weaknesses, and if possible, make contact with the captured crew of the Horizon. The team was a hodgepodge of specialists from around the world. Captain Zara Curry, a former Special Forces operative with a reputation for thinking outside the box. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, brother of the Horizon's xenolinguist and a brilliant codebreaker in his own right. Major Chen Wei, a tactical genius with a photographic memory. And Sergeant Maria Santos, an expert in alien biology and xenotechnology. Their ship, the Shadow, was a marvel of human engineering, incorporating every stealth technology and countermeasure Earth could muster. As they prepared for launch, Captain Corey addressed her team. I won't lie to you, she said, her voice steady but her eyes betraying the weight of their mission. The odds are stacked against us. We're heading into unknown territory, facing an enemy with capabilities we can barely comprehend. But remember this: we carry with us the hopes of every man, woman, and child on Earth. Failure is not an option. The launch was conducted under the strictest secrecy. As the Shadow slipped away from Earth, cloaked in technology that made it all but invisible to conventional sensors, the small crew felt the enormity of their task settle upon them. For weeks, they traveled in tense silence, penetrating deeper into Zarkali-controlled space. They witnessed firsthand the scale of the alien empire, passing worlds that had clearly once been home to other civilizations, now eerily silent under Zarkali occupation. It was during a routine scan of one such world that they made a startling discovery. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened as he studied the readouts. Captain, I'm picking up non-Zarkali life signs on the planet's surface. And some kind of transmission. It's crude, but it's definitely artificial. Captain Corey made a snap decision. We're going in. This might be our best chance to gather intel on the Zarkali's operations. The Shadow touched down in a desolate, rocky area, far from any signs of Zarkali activity. As the team stepped out, suited up in their advanced environmental gear, they were met with a landscape of utter desolation. Whatever civilization had once called this world home had been thoroughly eradicated. They followed the signal to its source, a makeshift shelter hidden in the ruins of what might have once been a magnificent city. As they approached, figures emerged from the shadows, alien in form, but with a desperation in their movements that was all too familiar. Dr. Tanaka worked furiously with his translation software as the aliens spoke, their language a series of clicks and whistles. They're called the Nyx, he reported. Their world was one of the first to fall to the Zarkali. These are survivors, part of a resistance movement. The revelation sent shockwaves through the team. They weren't alone in their fight against the Zarkali. There were others out there, other species who had suffered under the shapeshifters' tyranny. Over the next few days, they learned more about the true extent of the Zarkali Empire. Dozens of species had fallen victim to their deceptions, their worlds stripped of resources, their people enslaved or worse. The Nyx spoke of other resistance movements, scattered across the stars, fighting a seemingly hopeless battle against their oppressors. We need to contact Earth, Captain Corey said, her mind racing with the implications. This changes everything. If we can unite these resistance movements, coordinate our efforts. But their plans were cut short by a piercing alarm from the Shadow. Zarkali ships incoming. Sergeant Santos yelled. They must have detected our landing. In a flurry of activity, the team prepared to depart. But Captain Corey hesitated, looking at the group of Nyx who had shared their knowledge and their meager resources. We can't just leave them, she said, making another split-second decision that would have far-reaching consequences. Prepare for immediate evacuation. We're taking them with us. As the Shadow lifted off, its hold crowded with grateful Nyx refugees, The first shots from the approaching Zarkali ships seared the air around them. What had begun as a recon mission had now become a rescue operation and the first step towards a galactic alliance. Back on Earth, Dr. Elara Chen stood before her quantum field disruptor, a device that looked deceptively simple for the complex physics it manipulated. Her team had worked to the point of exhaustion, pushing the boundaries of human scientific understanding. "It's ready," she told General Talon, her voice hoarse from lack of sleep. "But we've only been able to produce a handful of units. Their range is limited, and the power requirements are enormous." The general nodded grimly. "It'll have to do. Our long-range sensors have detected a Zarkali fleet on approach. They'll be here within the month." As Earth braced for the coming invasion, the Shadow raced back home, carrying with it not just vital intelligence, but living proof that humanity was not alone in its struggle. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate not just of Earth, but of countless worlds across the galaxy. Dr. Chen looked out the window at the bustling activity of the TDC headquarters. Scientists, soldiers, and civilians all working together, preparing for the fight of their lives. She thought of her sister, Captain Sarah Chen of the Horizon, somewhere out there in Zarkali space. "Hold on, Sarah," she whispered. "We're coming." The quantum field disruptors hummed with potential, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. As the first reports of Zarkali ships entering the solar system came in, Elara felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. They were about to find out if humanity's desperate gambit would pay off. The final battle for Earth, and for the freedom of all species oppressed by the Zarkali, was about to begin. The Terran Gambit. The Zarkali invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, a vast armada of biomechanical ships that blotted out the stars. On Earth, billions watched in terror as the enemy approached, their strange vessels distorting space itself as they moved. In the command center of the Terran Defense Coalition, General Talon stood before a holographic display of the solar system, his weathered face illuminated by the ominous red dots representing the Zarkali ships. "Status report," he barked. "The quantum field disruptors are online and ready, sir," a technician reported. "But as Dr. Chen warned, their range is limited. We'll need to let the enemy get close." Talon nodded grimly. "Then that's what we'll do. All ships, hold position. Let them come to us." As the Zarkali fleet advanced, humanity held its breath. The plan was risky, some would say insane. They would allow the enemy to penetrate deep into the solar system, right up to the orbit of Mars, before springing their trap. Dr. Elara Chen stood at a console, her fingers dancing across the controls as she made last-minute adjustments to the quantum field disruptors. "Remember," she said to the operators around her, "once we activate the disruptors, we'll only have a short window before the Zarkali adapt. We have to make every second count." The tension in the command center was palpable as the enemy ships crossed the threshold. General Talon's voice rang out, clear and determined. "Activate the disruptors. All ships, engage." In an instant, the space around Earth lit up with an ethereal glow as the quantum field disruptors came online. The effect on the Zarkali ships was immediate and dramatic. Their biomechanical hulls began to warp and twist, their advanced weapons sputtering and dying as the altered laws of physics wreaked havoc on their systems. The human fleet, led by ships equipped with Dr. Chen's technology, surged forward. For the first time, humanity fought the Zarkali on equal footing, and they were winning. But the aliens were not about to go down without a fight. As Elara had predicted, they began to adapt, their shape-shifting abilities allowing them to evolve in real time to counter the effects of the quantum fields. "We're losing them," a technician shouted as more and more Zarkali ships regained functionality. It was at that moment that the Shadow burst back into the solar system, its hold still filled with Nyx refugees. Captain Corey's voice crackled over the comms. "Earth Command, this is the Shadow. We've brought reinforcements." From behind the small stealth ship emerged a ragtag fleet of avian vessels, survivors and resistance fighters from a dozen worlds, drawn by the promise of a weapon that could defeat their oppressors. The battle that followed was like nothing ever seen in Earth's history. Human ingenuity and determination combined with alien technologies and tactics, all unified against the common threat of the Zarkali. The quantum field disruptors, continuously adjusted by Dr. Chen and her team, kept the enemy off balance, unable to bring their full might to bear. But the tide truly turned when a familiar voice cut through the chaos of battle. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Horizon. We've taken control of a Zarkali command ship and are transmitting their strategic data now." Ilara's heart soared at the sound of her sister's voice. Somehow, against all odds, the crew of the Horizon had not only survived, but had managed to strike a crucial blow from within enemy lines. With the Zarkali command structure in disarray and their tactical data laid bare, the Allied fleet pressed their advantage. Ship after ship fell to the combined might of the human-led coalition. As the battle raged, Dr. Chen made a startling discovery. "The quantum fields aren't just disrupting their technology," she reported excitedly. "They're affecting the Zarkali themselves. Their shape-shifting abilities are breaking down at the genetic level." This revelation proved to be the final nail in the coffin for the Zarkali invasion. Faced with the loss of their greatest advantage and surrounded by the very species they had once subjugated, the alien fleet began to retreat. The cheers that erupted in the command center were deafening. Humanity had not only survived its first interstellar war, it had emerged victorious, and in doing so, had liberated countless alien civilizations from Zarkali oppression. In the days that followed, Earth became the center of a new galactic community. Representatives from dozens of species arrived, eager to meet the humans who had accomplished what none of them had thought possible. Captain Sarah Chen and her crew, hailed as heroes, shared their harrowing tale of captivity and escape. Their experiences, combined with the data they had stolen, provided invaluable insights into Zarkali biology and psychology. Dr. Ilara Chen found herself at the forefront of a new era of scientific cooperation, working alongside alien scientists to refine and expand upon the quantum field technology. What had begun as a desperate weapon was now being adapted for peaceful purposes, promising to revolutionize everything from space travel to energy production. But it was perhaps General Talon who summed up the feelings of many when he addressed the first meeting of the new Galactic Council. "We came to the stars seeking friendship and found conflict. We faced annihilation and discovered strength we never knew we had. But most importantly, we learned that we are not alone in this vast universe. The challenges we faced united us, not just as a species, but as a galactic community. The Zarkali sought to divide and conquer, but in doing so, they brought us all together." As the delegates applauded, human and alien alike, a new chapter in galactic history began. Humanity, once on the brink of extinction, now stood as a symbol of hope and resilience to countless civilizations across the stars. The Terran Gambit had paid off beyond anyone's wildest dreams. In risking everything, humanity had gained the universe. Aboard the Horizon, newly refitted and prepared for its next mission of exploration, Captain Sarah Chen looked out at the starfield. Her crew, a mix of humans and allies from other species, worked seamlessly together on the bridge. "Where to, Captain?" her first officer, a Nix, asked. Sarah smiled, thinking of all the wonders and challenges that awaited them. "Everywhere," she replied. "We've got a whole galaxy to explore, and this time we're not alone." As the Horizon engaged its engines, streaking off into the unknown, it carried with it the hopes and dreams of not just humanity, but of all the species now united in a grand alliance. The stars, once a source of terror, now beckoned with the promise of a brighter future for all. The Terran Gambit was over. The greatest adventure in galactic history had just begun.